Hello, good evening, hello, or good morning, or good afternoon, or good night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Hello, good evening, hello, and I've got playback, good morning, or good afternoon, or good night, whatever, and the playback is off. So, Frederico, hello, how's it going? Nice to see you here. How are you doing today? James, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. "10 AM in Uruguay," okay. Excellent. So I'm just doing final checks. It's very difficult to test a live stream without going live, so this is kind of a test and a live stream all wrapped together in one at the moment. So hopefully there won't be any technical difficulties, shall we say. Newcastle upon Tyne. So we've got a bit of Newcastle, UK in here. We've got someone from Uruguay. Okie dokie. Jimmy's good. Jimmy's good. Okay. Let's have a look. So I'm just spilt my drink all over my desk, which was an excellent start. So now I'm mopping it up. Okay, guys, let's go. You can see on the bottom left of the screen, got a little tribute there to my friend Lovebirds. Hello Philippines. Brian, how's it going? So yeah, as I was saying, got a little tribute to my friend Azim there, Lovebirds. I've known him for quite some time through my Facebook page. Really good guy, very passionate breeder, a real true hobbyist. And yeah, tragically he passed away not so long ago, along with his mother and his son, in a car accident. He was a nice guy. He was meant to be coming over to Belgium in September to visit the BBA show, but unfortunately he couldn't make it, and yeah, tragically we lost him. But he was a good guy, a good one of the hobby, and I know he was really looking forward to this live stream. He was always commenting on my page and everything, so this is a little tribute to our friend Azim, to Lovebirds. I'm sure some of you will have seen him about on Facebook. So this one's going to be dedicated to him today. Okay, I have some questions from several people, which we'll go into. Maybe I'm going to bring somebody on later on. We'll have a chat with them. I'm looking to go for around an hour. I'm going to stream for about an hour or so. See how that is. Unless I run out of things to say, which is possible. Hey, how's it going, man? Good to see you here. Hope you're doing well. Where should we begin? I haven't planned any of this. I haven't got a script written down or anything. This is literally 100% off the top of my head. Yeah, it's sad. He was a good guy. I sent him some birds as well. I sent him some top birds a few months ago, and he was really happy with them. And it's tragic what happened to him. And I feel sorry for all the guys out there as well. And obviously his family. It's terrible, but yeah, we're gonna have a good time, and I'm sure he definitely would have enjoyed it, eh? Definitely. So yeah, this one is going to be real YOLO off the top of my head. And I suppose we'll start off with a question. Got a question from Frederico from Uruguay, who is in the chat now. He asked about breeding stock management. Ooh, breeding stock management is something I take very, very seriously. It's a bit, sorry guys, I'm looking a bit to the right because I've got three screens in front of me. one has the chat on it, the other one has the questions on it, and then straight ahead is the camera, so that's a bit awkward. But breeding stock management, that's the first thing that Federico asked us. So yeah, something we could take quite seriously. I keep very extensive records of all of my birds, basically. Where shall I hide that? Put that there. Yeah, winging it in the bird room, in the bird world. That's what you do. You wing it. So for my breeding stock management, obviously everybody has the papers they stick on the nest boxes, where you write down when the egg was laid, when it hatched, ring number, things like that. That's very important. I use programs. There's a couple of programs out there which I've used myself. The first one would be, find it, Zoo Easy. Zoo Easy is software which I've used for quite a long time now. I keep down a full track of all of my birds. It's €50 this program, right? €50 for a lifetime subscription. And you can see you can add breeding pairs, and with each breeding pair you can put down the young. You can keep all of the data there. When the eggs were laid, when they were born, ring numbers. For each bird then, you can also have individual remarks about it. You can put the characteristics of the birds in photos. There's so much you can do. But this is basically what I use. The other one is Opaline from a guy in Denmark. It's a nice program. I've started using it. I don't have it installed on this computer because I've just done a fresh install of Windows. But it's also a very good one. So we can get a link to that and I'll drop it in the chat. Yeah, that's this one. This is also good software. Really handy. However, yeah, maybe I'll start to use that in the future, but for now I've just reformatted my computer and I literally have, within my Zoo Easy, there's a lot of birds, so it's difficult for me to, you can imagine it's difficult for me to transfer over to a new breeding software when I have this many birds literally listed in the program. Every bird that makes up a pedigree, it's all listed in the software here. So for me to move over to another program is quite difficult, but one day I think I will do it. But for now, it's not going to happen. And in the chat, if my mouse would wake up. Worth checking out. Breeding software, and I suppose the good thing about the Opaline is he updates it a lot as well. He updates it. He's an Agapornis, a lovebird breeder, and he's easy to reach if you ever have a problem or you need a bit of help figuring out the program. He's always there. So also worth a shot. Give it a try. Another question: breeding from the same clutch. What do you mean, like breeding brother and sister, or breeding related birds? Is that what you mean? Move on to something else. Another question a lot of people have asked is about the pox disease, or the Alb's pox, or whatever people call it. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to talk about diseases in birds. I'm not a veterinarian. I'm not an avian veterinarian. I don't think I have any right or any place to talk about it. And to be honest, I've never really had a sick bird. I've lost birds, usually because of accidents or something, but I'm not going to talk about diseases, I'm not going to talk about sickness because, yeah, I'm not qualified to do it, I have no experience with it. All I can say is, if you want to prevent diseases, keep your bird room clean, a good diet, and if you keep the birds healthy, they'll generally stay healthy. That's all I can say. How would you know if you haven't brought? How would you know if you haven't brought a brother and sister and breeding them together? Some people have bred brother and sister. Personally, I've never done it. I have bred father to daughter or mother to son in order to carry on a certain feature from a line, but I've never bred brother and sister. But I know other people do it. If you do it once, is it going to give you birds with 3 eyes and 6 legs? Probably not, no. It's probably fine if you do it once. If you continuously do it, I wouldn't recommend it. But to be honest, there's so much fresh blood out there, it's not necessary. How would you know if you haven't brought a brother and sister from a show? You're not going to know. You have to trust the breeder you buy the birds from. Every time I sell a bird, I have a pedigree, so you can see the line that the bird comes from. Everything's listed. I'll try and show you an example. Hold on. Give me a browser. Breeding data. What I'm looking for? Pedigrees. Yeah. So 2017. That one. No. Okay, this is an example of one of my pedigrees here. Every bird I sell gets one of these. Can I make this any bigger? I'm in, at the moment I'm in crappy, zoom in. No. Oh, there we go. This is a pedigree which every single bird I sell will come with. Not every one of them is going to be filled in. Some of them go for further generations. It depends on, obviously, the bird I've got. But everyone has the ring number, the date of birth, the parents, grandparents. So that's something you have to look, you know. This is, again, part of breeding management in terms of record keeping. Important to do this, so you can prevent buying a brother and sister and pairing them together without even realising it later on down the line. Do you see what I mean? So yeah, basically, how do you know if you're buying related birds? You just have to trust whoever you're buying the birds from, and trusting people in the bird world. Well, yeah, you have to know them first, I suppose. But always buy from reputable breeders who hopefully have a good name. So, I mean, what do you do after breeding season? What do I do? No, I don't keep my males and I don't keep my females separate. I know a lot of people do. I don't do it. Simply because at the moment I don't really have the space to do it. And even if I did, I don't think I would. I got a question from Danny in Puerto Rico, and what I will do, I'll merge your 2 questions together. He said, how do you deal with aggressive hens? How do you set up a pair with a hen that has killed previous mates? Yeah, you sometimes get crazy female birds that want to destroy and kill everything. So I'll answer these 2 together. Separating males and females probably reduces a lot of the aggression, although the female cage, I would imagine, maybe they're a bit crazy, I don't know. But I don't. My birds are actually very calm. They don't fight really at all, ever, even in the mixed flights. However, what I do is I regulate the hours of light the birds get. I make sure my birds have a breeding season, they will get 14 to 15 hours of daylight per day. And in the resting season, they will only get 9 to 10 hours of daylight. Yeah. Normally 10 hours. Then what you find then, males males will stop producing hormones. When male birds are exposed to 12 hours or more of daylight per day, their pituitary gland will start producing hormones. The sex drive goes up on the females, and that's nature's way of telling the birds it's time to breed. So you can imagine if birds are getting 14 to 15 hours of light every day, all through the year, they're constantly producing hormones, they're constantly horny, and you know what happens when you're super horny and you ain't getting any action. You're going to get frustrated and you're going to, you know, become a bit angry. And it's the same with the birds, to be honest. So by limiting the light and giving my birds a resting period, I find they're a lot more calm, a lot more relaxed. Things heat up a little bit during the breeding period, but then they go calm. And yeah, my males, my females, they sit together. They all sit in flight cages together. You can see them. Can I see them? Let's have a look. Yeah, you can see my birds now. They will come up soon, just above me here. That's the camera from my bird room. You can see the flights there. I mix the males, I mix the females together, and that's fine. But yeah, another thing I do in the resting period, I don't give them a lot of protein foods. I reduce the amount of food they have. I reduce the amount of egg food they have. I don't give them any sunflower seeds, and I keep the seed mix very basic. Could combine that with only 9 or 10 hours of daylight per day, and then genuinely the birds are much calmer. Hold on a minute, let me turn the notifications off on my phone, which is now going crazy. So yeah, keep the diet basic, reduce the daylight during the resting period, and then when you increase all that for the breeding period, not only do the birds suddenly jump into breeding behaviour, but also I find it keeps them balanced and keeps them calmer. But yeah, definitely the light makes a huge difference. I have an automatic dimmer in my room, and when I increase the light for the breeding period, I add 15 minutes per day. And you can see after literally 3 days, so that's 45 minutes extra daylight in a 24-hour period. After 3 days, the birds are already, the males are bobbing their head and feeding the females, and the females are all you know, spreading. I'm trying to keep this child rated, spreading their wings and things like that. So it makes the light definitely makes a big difference, massive difference. But back onto Danny from Puerto Rico, onto his question. He asked about how do you pair a female who's killed previous mates. Now, I've never really had this problem. I once brought a female from a guy. It was a dominant pied. She was a beautiful bird, a dominant pied green. However, she had killed about 4 males. So he had her in a cage on her own, and he was like, oh, I'm just going to get rid of her. And I said, okay, let me take her. I took her home. I stuck her in my voliere, in my aviary, full of it with about 20 other birds. And she instantly paired up with a green male. Never had a single problem with her for 4 or 5 years. And she raised 2 clutches of 6 young, so 12 young over 2 clutches. Never had a problem with her. Aggressive females, how do I get them to pair with males? Difficult one. I get the breeding cages prepared. When I'm about to pair my birds for breeding, I get the breeding cages prepared, and what I normally do is put all the males I want to breed in the cages. And to be honest, I leave the males in there for a day or 2, and then I add a female to the cage. I would say almost every single time it is never a problem. I think in 10 years of breeding the birds, I think I have only ever had to separate a pair because they wouldn't go together. I think maybe one time. And one time I separated them, give them a new mate, and they instantly paired, and that was fine. Hi Wendy, nice to see you. I've got your question. I will come to that one in a moment for sure. So the old sable one, but no, never had a problem with aggressive females. Usually, okay, some of them take longer, but I would say 90% of the pairs I put together, they bond within 48 hours. Occasionally you get one, it may take a week or 2, but usually they bond super quickly. and I've never had a problem. But maybe that is because I winter my birds. I give them 9 or 10 hours of light. I give them a winter season, a resting period, a proper resting period. And also keeping in mind, I usually only breed my birds once a year. I usually only do one round, one clutch, and then when they're finished I take them out and I put a new couple in. So a lot of my birds are 3 or 4 years old, and they've probably only bred 2, maybe very rarely 3 times. So maybe, yeah, the less breeding pressure, the light, the food, wintering the birds, maybe it keeps them calmer, which means they're more acceptable to mates, I don't know. But obviously splitting the sexes, and I've just punched my microphone, splitting the sexes, keeping males and females separate, it's possibly easier to make pairs then, because as soon as you introduce a female to a male, she'll be in love, and maybe that's easier. But you also have to keep in mind, some birds are crazy and they will just kill everything, and birds like that, they don't really have a future in anybody's breeding room, so you also do have to keep that in mind. That is also something for selection. I also select my birds on characteristic. So if I have a bird who's totally crazy, stressy, panicky, attacking other birds, unless she's super special, I won't breed with her. I don't want that sort of behaviour bred into my birds. So that's also something to consider, something to think about. Okay, thank you. I've just got an email from YouTube saying I've gone live. I think I know that. Interesting. Okay. What next? What next? What should we move on to now? How are you all doing today? Is it early there for you, Wendy? I think 7:30, 8:30, something like that. Difficult to pick a good time to do the stream when it's early hours of the morning for some people, late at night for other people. Crazy. What should we put up? Drop that down. Okay, so Wendy did ask about where did Opaline Fishery originate from? And she also asked on Facebook, what's the difference between them and sable? Okay. Whew, that's an old can of worms. Opaline Fishery, the first I heard about it was 2009 or 10. Was it 2009 or 10? Can't remember. I think it was around then. 2009 or 10, there used to be the Yahoo chat groups. And there was the genetic mutations group, which are Dirk, Terry Martin, and this is where the international names, the international standard names originate from. And I used to browse all through the archives of these chats, all these discussions, and I honestly spent months and months going through every single discussion about everything. Well, it was on one of those groups, I think it's maybe that was the BVA group, I can't remember. A guy come in called Joseph from Hong Kong with a picture of a strange looking fishery. Immediately we were like, a lot of people said, it looks like opaline. The rump was green, complete red head on the back, but obviously you can't just assume based on what you see, you can't just assume that it's this or that mutation. You have to do test breeding first. So yeah, that was 2009 or 10, and I actually met Joseph. He'd come all the way from Hong Kong to the BVA show in 2016, I think it was, or 15 or 16. So yeah, that was awesome to see him. So that was in 2010, and then it was probably 2013. There was reports of a lot of these potential opaline birds being bred in Indonesia. Then a year later they popped up in Italy as well. Originally, the Opaline fishery, I think it originated in China. Nobody's really going to know, but I would say it originated in China. Excuse me. After test breeding to prove it was a sex-linked mutation, putting an opaline male with a completely unrelated pure wild-type female, it was producing opaline females in a nest. So that's enough evidence that you're looking at a sex-linked recessive inheritance. Yeah, that's where the opaline came from. Now, this is the thing which you see, right? You see this a lot on the internet. People say, how can I make this mutation? You can't make a mutation. Okay, technically that's not correct. If you put the bird in a microwave or sent it to Chernobyl, maybe you can make a mutation, but there's no way you can create a turquoise fishery or parbleu fishery. There's no way you can create an opaline fishery. If you want to breed opaline fishery, you have to go out and buy a bird that is either opaline or a male that is split opaline. You can't create one by combining this mutation and this mutation, and if you merge them together, an opaline appears. That's not going to happen. Now, some people, Mr. Montana, yeah, it's possible. I would say, yeah, I would say opaline come around. The first I heard of it was 2010. But even then we didn't know. It took a lot of test breeding to conclude that it was indeed opaline. So yeah, a lot of people email me, message me, how can I create the opaline? You can't. It is indeed a spontaneous change of the DNA code within a bird. You can't make that happen. Okay, yeah, if you want to go and stick the bird in a microwave or stick it to a nuclear power plant, maybe if it's spent a vacation there, it might come out with a mutated eye. But you can't create these colour mutations through other combinations of mutations. That is not going to happen. So if you want opaline fishery, you have to buy opaline fishery. Maybe you are lucky enough that a new mutation will spontaneously occur for you as well. But let's have a look. How many mutations do we have in Agapornis? I did this a few weeks ago. It was actually about 2 years ago. And then there was about 32 mutations in all 9 species of Agapornis. So we're looking now probably 36, maybe 37 mutations. And that is in Rosicolis, personatus, Fishery, Canis, Taranta. That's in all 9 species combined. I would say 36 or 37 mutations in the lifetime of breeding birds. So the chances of a new mutation occurring for you is very, very small. So if you want one, the only way you are going to get it is by buying a bird. Now, I know Wendy mentioned, and people have said, that the opaline fishery has come from crossing Fishery with an opaline Rosicolis or peach-faced lovebird. That's not true. And this chair is really hurting my butt, so excuse me. Oh. You can pair a fishery with a Rosicolis. You can pair that's no problem at all. And they will produce young, but those young will be sterile. Rosicolis have a different number of chromosomes to Fishery. So when there's a different number of chromosomes, the chromosomes can't pair, the sex organs are simply not developed, and that young chick will be sterile. Now, I know some people have talked about, oh, but occasionally they can be fertile, and maybe they can, yeah, maybe they can. Has it happened ever in history where one of these hybrid birds has been sterile and passed on a mutation? No. No mutation in the history of bird keeping, no mutation has ever been passed from Rosicolis to Fishery through hybridisation. Ever. Will it ever happen? No. I don't think it will. I think you have more chance of winning the lottery 20 times in the same year than ever getting opaline from Rosicolis to Fishery. People have tried, people have failed, and they will continue to fail. So yeah, it's not going to happen. The good news about the Opaline fishery is it will put an end, eventually, it will put an end to the sable fishery. I don't like the sable fishery. I don't like the birds with the red heads. I don't like the birds with complete white heads. People like them because they look pretty, but the damage that they do to pure birds is bad. It's not good. The only reason people like the sable fishery is for the complete solid coloured head, yeah? Or the solid red head, or the solid white head. That's the only thing that attracted people to it, because everything else was more or less the same as the normal wild type bird. So now we see, as soon as we see Opaline spread all around the world, as popular as it is in fishery, no, as popular in fishery as it is now in rosicollis, when that day comes, then people can easily breed the birds with the complete red heads and the complete white heads. So there's no need for these sable birds anymore. So they're all going to disappear eventually, which is good. It's a good thing for bird keeping. Because if you put an opaline to a normal green bird, if it's a good quality opaline and a normal good quality green wild type bird, the young that you get from that, the green split, the males which are green split opaline from that pair, should be beautiful good quality green. But if you put one of these sable birds to a normal green wild type, the young will be rubbish. Simple as that. They're not gonna look very good. However, at the same time, I can understand in some countries there is a demand for these sable birds. I think in the USA you have the type 2s. I don't agree with them, but I can agree with people's choice to follow the club that they follow. So if your club has a standard for these birds and it shows these birds, that's up to you. You can do it, whatever. Each to their own. And it's the same. It's the same as the standard with the wild type fishery. Some countries prefer a bit more red in the head. Some countries prefer a bit more yellow on the transitional line between the red mask and the green body. Some prefer the back of the head more yellowy green. Some prefer the red more intensive red. There's so much shit about this, and it annoys me because each to their own. I don't worry about what other people are doing. I worry about what I'm doing. So if other clubs want the red heads, and you know I'm talking to you, Alex, if other people want the red in the head, let them have it, as long as you're not doing it. If you don't believe in it and you're not doing it, that's all that matters. Yeah. So focus on your own thing, and then you also have to understand people from other clubs will have to follow the standard of the club that they are part of. So if the club asks for a bird that looks like this, you have to breed a bird that looks like this. I think it's in Germany. Is it in Germany where the judges generally prefer a little bit more yellow in the transitional zone at the bottom of the mask? So breeders are naturally going to do that. Maybe in Holland and Belgium the birds will get stung for having too much yellow there, but you know, it's each to their own. You have to follow the club that you're with. So as much as we disagree with things, there's no point arguing and getting titty-tatty about it. We're all in the same hobby. Let each other get on with it, right? So that's it. Opaline fishery. It ain't coming from rosicollis. It's not going to happen. Don't waste your time. I'm not bothered if people do that, because the resulting hybrid young will be sterile. They won't be able to breed. Okay, yeah, maybe. There is a lot of controversy about it, but what we can't do, right? What we cannot do as a hobby is let the controversy and the difference in opinions divide the people, which it kind of is really, and it shouldn't happen, because we're all in the hobby together, right? And we should all look after each other and look after the interests of the hobby. There's a lot of pressure on from outside people about bird keeping. A lot of people want to stop all animals being kept in cages as pets. We should be working together against that, not bickering with each other inside about what colour the head of a bird should be. If he wants the head to be purple, whatever, let him have it be purple. He wants it to be red, let him have it red. You know, accept that other people see things differently. That's how it is. How long should the yellow be on the belly of a personatus? Good question. For the standards, the international standards which the BVA followed, it used to be just below the bend of the wings. So you were looking at a tiny little fraction just below the bend of the wings. And then you noticed a lot of birds, the yellow was getting lower and lower and lower, and eventually we started to see birds where the yellow chest extended all the way down to like the legs. Even the legs were turning yellow. So that was too low. Now, I know some of the standards say it should be 75% down, but what we do is we now say 50% roughly, try and aim for 50%, and that is from the bottom of the mask all the way to the bird's butt. Yeah, so if you look on this bird here, it would be from the bottom of the mask here. Can you even see my mouse? I think you can, I don't know. But it will be all the way to the bird's rear end. So if you take about 50% from that distance there, that's the ideal place to keep the transitional line between the yellow chest and the green belly, ideally. Keeping it straight and curved, that's difficult. I find with selection and good pairings, good selection, I can get the nice coloured nails, good colour feet, the mask, the lines. The one thing I really struggle with is this chest line here. You can have two parents where that chest line is perfect, and then a young, they come out totally messed up. Very difficult to control. Very difficult. Which can bring me on actually to another question. I got another question also from Danny in Puerto Rico. He said, the personatus neck collar, what is too much and what is the ideal amount of yellow? Okay, it's a good question. A lot of people like the thick yellow necks, right? Let's get some pictures up, because this must be boring as hell. I have millions of pictures, but picking one is really difficult. Okay, what we'll do, we'll open that in a new window. Right. So, what is the perfect size on the neck? That's really not easy. And of course the photo opens on a different one. So the yellow on the neck, I'm trying to find a picture where I can see the back of the neck, but that's also not very easy. Let me have a quick look. Neck. Ah, I know where I did one. Let me see. Articles. Yeah, there it is. Shit, I don't know what I've just done with that photo. It's just probably disappeared. Bam. But if anyone can see that, because I can't see myself now. Let me throw this over here. Hello. The neck here. Okay. This is, a lot of people like the deep necks. Ideally, 1.5 centimetres, maybe 2 centimetres. It depends really on the frame of the bird. Birds with a thick frame, a thick build, they're naturally going to have a deeper neck, but it has to be in proportion. What you don't want is the yellow collar on the neck is so deep up. Like, I keep pointing at the screen, but I'm forgetting you can't see my bloody hand pointing at the screen. It's so deep that it gives the mask almost like a cheek impression, right? So yeah, maybe 1.5 centimetres. Should be balanced. You want it to be nice and dark on the back. This isn't a bad bird. The line could be cleaner here. I think I have a better picture somewhere else. Yeah, you can see on this one here, these were younger birds, so they were not in colour yet. But you can see on this picture here. Now imagine if that mask crept all the way up there, it would almost look like a nigrogenis. So you want the mask to be complete. You want it to be almost like a full mask rather than a cheek, if you know what I mean. So I always say, as a rough guess, for the thickest part of the neck here, I look for around 1.5 centimeters, but it has to be balanced. I don't want it so thick that it looks like it has this pathetic little mask, but at the same time you don't want the mask to be super deep. So if the mask is really deep, there's hardly any yellow, that's no good. However, that's for showing birds, that's for exhibiting birds. I like a bird with a very deep mask, with a very thinner yellow collar, because I find if you balance that to a bird with a thick neck, you get a real nice balance with a young. So yeah, if the neck is small and the mask is deeper, you could certainly still have a very, very good breeding bird there. But for showing, yeah, you want it to be quite even, quite balanced, and I say about, yeah, roughly 12 to 15 millimeters, roughly. But it also depends on how big your bird is. If you've only got a bird which is 14.5 centimeters, naturally it ain't going to be a 1.5 centimeter neck. If you've got a bird which is 15.5 centimeters, it's going to have a thicker neck than a smaller bird. So it's hard to say an exact length on it. But yeah, keep it balanced. That's it, yeah. Keeping the shoulders clean. I call this like the shoulder area here, stopping the yellow from bleeding in. You see it with a lot of birds. I recently got a bird because she had real beautiful shoulders. It was so clean. There was no yellow bleeding in here. And you get this yellow exactly where I am now. In fact, what I can do is close that. Yeah, move that up there. Drop that there. I see it with a lot of birds. We're here. Give me a yellow. See it with a lot of birds. Caps locks on. Where the yellow bleeds in here. Yeah, the yellow bleeds in here. And you see it, yeah, and it's a problem. It's a problem with birds, especially with a personatus. You see it more as the birds get older. I find when my birds start going 4 or 5 years, yeah, you get these little yellow feathers creeping in on the plumage. It happens, not a problem. But what I find then is these birds are 4 or 5 years. If the yellow does creep in a little bit, they still produce very clean young with no issues there. But that is indeed a problem, and that's something which you should pay attention to. You should pay attention to the line across the shoulders there. Ideally below that line there should be no yellow. It should be nice and clean red, bloody green. Don't, it shouldn't be red. If it's red, you've got a serious problem, yeah? It should be green. Okay. What else have we got then? What else have we got? And we have somebody else has just subscribed. I don't know who. Abdul Manan has just subscribed to my YouTube channel. So thank you guys, everybody who has recently subscribed. Much appreciated. I'm going to turn that cam off there. Okay, let's move on. If anyone else has any questions, drop them in the chat. We can go through them now and see how it goes. At the moment, my birds are busy building nests. Let's see if I can get that up. Have no idea what I'm doing here. What am I'm looking for that. That's what I'm looking for. I've got 3 screens in front of me, and I'm still running out of space to put things. That's the mad thing, yeah. Right, boom. This is my bird room. This is the camera I have inside my bird room. And I tell you what, guys, if none of you have got one of these, get one. It's kind of stuck over my nose now, so let me put that under there. There we go. Okay, this is my bird room. I put an IP camera in there yesterday. Honestly, amazing. I could sit there and I could spend hours and hours watching this live camera of my birds. I think it's amazing. I get to see how they're pairing together as a couple, and maybe this goes back to the whole putting, how do you put the males and females together? Hold on, hope this ain't going to be X-rated. It might be the way things are going. Last night they were all woo-hoo, going crazy. So yeah, maybe this goes back to another good way of putting your pairs together. Watching them on a camera, you can see how the birds naturally behave, and I know for a fact mine are real busy building nests. I've took down like so many willow branches, which they've stuffed into them boxes. So I'm expecting eggs within the next day or two, maybe. Some of the pairs have already laid eggs, so yeah, we'll be busy pretty soon, I think. What you see here in the aviary on the... Where's my arm? There. In the aviary here, these are young birds from the end of 2017, start of 2018. These are all my split pastels, just random birds. I run out of space, so I had to put a voliere into the middle of the room, which is awkward. Bigger. Right, I'll browse around the room a little bit. You can't see much because I'm limited to the angle I can move around at. These are my 3 flight cages. There's one at the bottom which you can't see. Middle one has all my young green birds from 2017. The top one has some fully retired resting breeding couples. And the bottom one has my young mutation birds I kept from 2017. These are about 1.8 metres long by, I think, 70 by 70. Perches at either end, so the birds have to fly from one end of the cage to the other, and it keeps their muscles built up. It's not the ideal space for my birds, but eventually I will build some big aviaries and a proper bird room in the garden, in our garden. But obviously that requires money, which I don't have too much of at the moment. And my breeding cages, I have 10 pairs breeding. I could do 12, but I don't want to. I don't see a need to breed a load of birds, because if I get a load of young like I did last year, then I've got a problem because I've got nowhere to put them. So yeah, I'm sticking to there's 10 pairs now, although this pair at the top left have just finished. You can see actually the young birds in the cage. So I will be separating them soon. Yeah, it's in the attic. It's in the attic of our house, and it's the best I can do with the space I have. But I have, I don't know if you can see it, I've got double windows on either side. Yeah, there's the other windows. There. I've got windows on the left, windows on the right, so there's a lot of fresh air can blow straight through the room. If I open the windows on the left and the windows on the right, it sweeps through the air, keeps it nice and fresh. I do have a purifier which is behind the camera, so you're not going to see it. I've got a big HEPA air filter, and even though I have the windows open, I still have, well, yeah, easy with the camera control there, boy. I still have a full spectrum light on the roof, just in case. Mainly because if I close the shutters, I have shutters on the windows so I can black the room out. When I close the shutters I can put the artificial light on and they're happy. So that's it. Do I have a breeding season? Yeah, I do. And it's just begun. A lot of people begin in October, yeah? That's when the first rings arrive. I find breeding through the winter, I hate it. I hate it with a passion. But that's probably because my birds are in the house, right? When your birds are in a house with central heating, the humidity really drops and the air is very dry. I don't know if any of you notice this, but if any of you, especially if you live in a cold country, when you have the central heating on in the winter, check the humidity of your house. It's often very, very low because the air's dry, because the radiators suck all the moisture out of the air. That's why, now I realise why my nan, my grandmother, used to put the little shallow dishes of water on top of the radiators. So what I did last year, I put these little dishes, little stainless steel dishes on top of the radiator, and they were probably 8 centimetres deep. No word of a lie. I had to, them bowls would be 8 centimetres of water in a dish about that big. In 2 days, all the water was gone. And that's where it was being drawn into the air, because the air was so dry. I was topping them up every single day. I had to keep topping up these bowls to keep the humidity high. So what I did now, we had a lot of terrible weather this year. We had, over here, I'm not too sure how it was elsewhere, but we had -10. It was -10 and it was snowing. On a Saturday, I was training my dogs. It was freezing. Exactly 7 days later, it was 14 degrees, 15 degrees, and I was training my dogs on the Saturday with just a t-shirt on. And then exactly a week later, it was -4 and it was snowing again. So really the weather was, and I didn't want to start breeding the birds until it stabilised. We had a bit of nice weather. Last weekend was in the 20s, or the weekend before. Weather's stable now. They get a nest box and they can start breeding. But what I'll do, I'll breed a round with the pairs which are in the cages now. They will breed 1 round, and because I'm limited to space, I will then take them out. They go to rest, chill out for the rest of the season, and I'll put in 10 new pairs. So each pair will only breed once, one clutch per year. Maybe I'll do 2 with them back to back, if I can. But last year I bred with 15 pairs. So I started off with 8 pairs, and then I took them out and I put 7 new pairs in, and I had 80 young. I had an average of 5.2 young per nest in total. A lot of young from so many pairs. I think I had 4 nests with 6 young in, 4 nests of 6. Almost everything else was 5. One pair only had 3 young, but it was a good round. So yeah, I'm not bothered about breeding for the season, but I don't really show my birds anyway. Most shows I visit, I'm judging. So I'm in no effort to breed the next champion show bird. I'm just breeding for myself. And if the weather's crap in October, November, December, January, I won't breed. I will breed when the weather's nice and the birds will enjoy it more, I suppose. That's how I see it. Let me see if he's ready. Maybe he can come in. Anybody got any other questions? I've got one more there. Got one about the Roosevelt long feather. Okay, don't worry. You can come back, Frederico, and you can check. The live stream will be on my channel to watch afterwards. So whatever you missed, you could come and catch it later. I'm going to wrap up a little bit soon anyway, because it's already been an hour. So surely people have got bored of me already. Let's see what else we're going to do. Is he there? He's not there. I wanted to bring on my friend Naveed. He's my good mate from Pakistan. He's a good guy. Oh, this is all, my screen's all glitched out. I can't see anything. Hold on. However, we're cutting it fine, so what we'll do, we'll have a look. I was going to ask him some questions and that, but the screen's going a bit crazy at the moment. I will just have a quick look at this. We'll have a quick look at some of his pictures. Okay, that needs to move. Birdie cam can go off. Yeah, now we're talking. So this is Naveed Sheikh from Pakistan. I visited his place. He has a bird room, and it's where he lives, and it's kind of part of a school, right? And he teaches the children there, teaches the kids there, but he also has his birdhouse there, and he uses it also for a lot of educational purposes for the children. The children often go in and he shows them how to hand feed a bird, or shows them the different chicks, and that, it's really cool stuff to see actually. And not only that, but this guy does a lot for the hobby in Pakistan too. You often see him making videos as well, making a lot of videos for the fanciers and for the hobbyists in Pakistan. Helps a lot of people out, and yeah, he's a good dude. I wanted to bring him on and ask him some questions, but we're running a little bit late now. I only wanted to keep this to an hour, so we'll go through these. This is his bird room. This is very typical of one of the bird rooms in Pakistan. I've visited quite a few of them. This is his bird room. There he is, giving it the old thumbs up. The man himself. He has a lot of breeding cages. Breeds an awful lot of albino and dark-eyed clear, Fishery and personatus. There he is with some photos. There's me when I visited. Yay! You can see here, very big aviary with a lot of albino and a lot of dark-eyed clear bluebirds in there. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed visiting there and seeing the different people, seeing how things were done. And what I like is, this is something we need to bring back into the hobby in Holland and Belgium, is the social side of it, the fun side of it. And this is why I'm doing this live stream today, so we can enjoy the hobby a bit more. Everyone I visited in Pakistan, and it was the same in Bahrain as well, they have a table with chairs, lots of chairs around it, and they bring out something to drink and something to eat, and their friends come over and they sit down, they have a drink, they have some food, they have a good time. But over here, people don't want the table and chairs, they want to cram another 12 breeding cages in so they can breed more birds to sell or something. You know, we need to bring that enjoyment back into the hobby, and it's important. And when I see it in other countries, it's nice, and I miss that. So now when I'm designing my new birdhouse for in my garden, having a table and an area for some chairs is essential. So maybe in the future it'll be like coffee Sunday in the birdhouse with me. I want to chill in my birdhouse, and I want to bring some of my friends over to enjoy it as well. That's the hobby for me. That is the hobby. That's what it should be about. That's where the pleasure and enjoyment for me comes from, is sharing the hobby with some buddies. I can imagine it, chilled out, drinking a coffee, looking at the birds, having a chat. Awesome. And that's what you see with a lot of these guys. Yeah. And there he is with all his pupils from the school, which he takes in. And there he's showing them, I think he's showing them here about hand feeding. Yeah, he's showing them about hand feeding young, should it ever be necessary. And there we are, eating McDonald's. All good. Yeah, and he's teaching the kids how to hand feed birds. Now, I think this is awesome. I think this is awesome. These are potentially some of the next generation of bird keepers, which will come after us, do you know what I mean? And there's me in his birdhouse again, and the show. And yeah, the kids looking at some of the young birds. Nice little budgie there. Feathered rat, as I call them. No offence. Only joking. Yeah, and showing them inside the nest boxes of birds. Young birds. And I think that's great. This is why I wanted to give him a mention. Somebody who is giving back to the hobby, a bit of passion, he's got a bit of love for it, and that's what we need, that's what we really need to see more of. So, Naveed, keep up the good work. Keep doing what you're doing. And thank you. Thank you for what you do for everyone. What else have we got? We have one more question, then I have a little announcement to make. Danny, again from Danny from Puerto Rico, he said, are there mutations that shouldn't be bred in personatus, or which mutations are preferred to be bred in personatus? If you're asking me personally what I prefer to breed in personatus, nothing. Green. Green. Go green or go home. Woohoo. However, I think you can breed any mutation into personatus, it shouldn't be a problem. I always thought Opaline, putting Opaline in personatus, which has happened already, obviously. I thought, why? We didn't know whether the birds would be orange or not, but they're not. They're going to be completely looking like a normal personatus, yellow neck, yellow collar, black mask. The Opaline will not add red and orange into it. So the Opaline personatus you see, because they're red and orange, that's because they're probably F2, F3, still hybrids basically. But I thought, what a bit of a waste. Putting Opaline in personatus, all you'll see is a green rump and the Opaline barring on the wings. However, you will be able to make the combination of Ewing Opaline, which will look awesome. So maybe Opaline does indeed have a place in personatus. But yeah, I'm a bit of a purist. I like to stick to the standard mutations of personatus. I like to stick to blue, to pastel, well, dark and violets, but I'm not into them. Blue, pastel, turquoise, and that's about it. That's about all I breed at the moment now. But yeah, you can breed any mutation you want, really. Just do it well, do it properly. Always use wild type birds, because wild type birds will always produce the better mutations. So if you put a mutation, always on a regular basis, go back to the wild type to improve them. And the final question was on rosy collis, when is it too much on the long feather? Have we gone too far with rosy collis regarding long feather? Another can of worms. People are really putting me on the spot with this today. No, we haven't really, no. It is said that the long feather is probably some form of mutation, something to do with the myostatin, or what is it called, myostatin, I'm sure it was myostatin, which is basically the protein involved in the production of muscle tissue, muscle mass. So the genes that control that are possibly mutating and creating these bigger birds. Maybe there's multiple genes involved. I don't think anybody will know that for a while. Can it go too far? Yes, it can. Yeah, it can, of course. If you go too far with anything, even with normal selection, you will get these long feather birds where the feathers, they can't connect properly. They're loose. They're baggy. They look a mess. Yeah. It can happen. Have we gone too far? No. I think most breeders are sensible enough that they see it's going too far and then they come back down in size a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know. Let me see. I mean, if we look at these are the birds from the BVA show 2016. No problem with no tight feathering there. Feathering's looking damn good to me. Looking pretty good there as well. I think it's all about, again, the responsibility of the breeder. So if you feel that the feathers are getting too loose on the birds, then yeah, maybe you are taking it too far and you just have to take a step back. But we see that also in fishery and in personatus also, where birds are getting too big. Yeah, feathers tight on all these rosy collies, so is it a problem? No, not really. I don't think it is. I think it's perfectly fine. It's no different to what we see in the budgies. I hope we don't go that dramatic with all the other crazy stuff that goes on with budgies. But no, I think there is no concerns about long feather, or standard rosy collies as we call them. I think it's all about selection, but selection is important even when breeding DD birds, 2 dark factors. Again, you have to select to keep the feathers smooth and keep them clean. So Selection's everything. It doesn't matter what bird you're breeding, you have to think about that. You have to think about that, really. What else have we got? It is 20 to 5. God, I've been gassing for some time. I need a drink. This was a cup, right? Proper grown up, 21. I got this cup on my 21st birthday last week. It's a bit more than a week ago, but I still got it. I thought I'd just show that. In fact, if my mum watches this, maybe it was her who got it me. But Mum, do you remember that? Proper grown up, 21. I've dropped this down the stairs 6 times. It hasn't broken. Okay, the long feathers. What else have we got? That's done, that's done. Everything done there. Talked about that, we've talked about that. Have we gone too far with them regarding a long feather? No, we haven't. That's that. Opaline fishery, we concluded that you ain't going to get an opaline fishery by using rosicollis. You have to go and buy one. If you don't have one, then you just have to wait a bit. I'm going to quickly have a look on my page, see if there has been any posts or anything with questions. I don't think there has. Nope, nothing. Okay. Yes, last thing to do before I go. I have recently started a new job. I am now doing some work for Aviseed. Anybody who follows me or follows my page or my website or anything will know I've used Aviseed for a very long time. I like their seed mixes. I like the fact that they're clean and there's a big variety of seeds in there. I feel my birds really benefit from that. You can see here on my beautiful website www.agapornis-personatus.com. you can see on my website I've already talked about the Aviseed mixes. So I'm not using this food because I've got a job with them now. I've used this food already for 8 years. 2011, March 2011 I started using it. So that is that. So yeah, I'm doing this work for Aviseed. They are bringing out a lot of new products soon, and they are looking to grow and develop more as a company. So I'm helping them with social media and with some videos. So we're going to have some awesome videos, not only about the products, but also some educational thing for different, not just for this isn't Agapornis related, this is for all species of birds. And the first introduction video is uploaded onto the Aviseed YouTube channel, and as soon as this stream has finished I will put that video live and launch the first Aviseed video, which is only a basic introduction video. You know, don't expect a feature length movie, it's not going to happen. So I would like everybody's help if you could. I would like you all to jump onto the Aviseed Facebook page where I will be posting all the content. And the bee's calling me. Naveen, I can't turn you off. That's it, my Avengers song is playing. Turn everything off. Sorry about that. So if you could jump over to the Aviseed Facebook page, if you haven't already, drop it a like, it would help me out a lot. I'll be putting all my new content on there soon. I'm dropping one into the chat right now. I will stick the links also into the description for this YouTube video when it goes live later. What else have we got? Twitter. Anyone likes twitting or tweeting? You can also catch Aviseed on Twitter, drop them a follow. And their YouTube channel, I will stick a link to that in the description, and on my page I will share the new video. As soon as I finish this live stream, I will put that new video live for people to see. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting job for me. It involves social media and video editing, and it's products which I've used already now for over 7 years. I'm happy with, I like them, and I think there's going to be some real good things coming from this company. So if you guys can help me, drop them likes on their Facebook page, it'll be fun, it will help me, and I would appreciate it. That's about it. I don't know if anyone else is watching has any different questions. If you do, put it into the chat now, or drop me a message. I will give it exactly 1 minute, and then I will switch off. So, any last questions, send me a message, hit me up on Facebook, hit me up on Twitter, or put one in the YouTube chat here if you have any questions. And I will leave you to do that while I use my e-cig and have a drink. Boom, yeah, guys, here is the YouTube channel. All the AV Seed, the videos will first be uploaded to YouTube. Boom, there it is. Drop them a like, drop them a subscription. It would really help me, because this is actually a job and I really want to help this company grow and develop, and it's going to be amazing. And I'm looking forward to doing some awesome videos for the company as well. Everybody likes videos. Okay then. We have nothing, I don't think. Let me see. No, that's it, guys. I've been live for now 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I am going to wrap it up. Definitely going to come back again. Maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe in a few weeks. I need some more questions. We need some more stuff to talk about. And I should also, you know, now I've done this, I know how it works. I can get a bit more stuff prepared. Maybe we can try something different next time. I've got a few things planned. And there's a new subscription for the YouTube channel. I can hear my little Harry Potter guy talking somewhere. So guys, thank you for watching. Much appreciated. It's been fun. I love talking about birds. I love people asking me questions and things like that. And I don't have a table with chairs and coffee in my birdhouse, so instead we do it on YouTube. It's like you guys all sat in a room with me. Awesome. I enjoyed it. Don't forget, head over to the AVC pages, drop them a like for me, follow them on Twitter, subscribe to them on YouTube. It would help me out a lot. And within 5 minutes, the first video for AVC is going to go live, and I will spam the hell out of it everywhere, because that's what I do. Thanks guys, have a good day, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and see you for the next live stream. Couple of weeks maybe, who knows, we'll see. Have a good one.